ready to fight for you from the foxhole of freedom, all right? You ready for that? Giving you better analysis and insight than anyone else, shining a spotlight into the darkness of the political media industrial complex. What a swamp that is. You can smell it all the time. This is the relentless pursuit of truth. Here are three big things you need to know to start your day today. Number one, a synthetic human embryo has been created in a lab without an egg or without sperm. Wow, what could possibly go wrong with that? Number two, Adam Schiff let off the hook by 20 Republicans for lying year after year about Russian collusion, the Steele dossier, and more. What a bunch of rhino weasels. And number three, news flash. Steve Gruber is too liberal. Steve Gruber is a rhino. I hear this kind of nonsense pretty much every day. If I don't take the exact position demanded by some ideologues on the fringe, then I am branded as a rhino and as part of the problem. Can you imagine that? I am too liberal. Yeah. Well, if that's true, my friends, we have some very serious problems in this country, because that means those of us on the right, and yes, I still believe I'm on the right because, well, I am. But if I'm too liberal, we stand very little chance of ever winning another election at any level. If I'm the problem, we won't elect a dog catcher if that continues to be the mindset of those on the hard right. You see, I was canceled this week from a radio station I've been on for years, and it was because I'm too liberal. That is what a couple of the listeners said they heard some clown say on the air. However, the same clown happens to be the program director. So he made the very poor choice to silence me as we are heading into another critical election year. I have by far the biggest statewide network in Michigan, over 30 affiliates. Winning important races is critical, you see. Therefore, having loud, common-sense voices is also critical. But the thought police, they don't care about that, apparently. Not on the left, not on the right. If you don't adhere to the stringent orthodoxy, you will get canceled, just like any good liberal would do to you. So now you're wondering, what were my thought crimes? What got me canceled by a guy who is often screaming about cancel culture and how terrible it is? And yes, that is the height of hypocrisy, but I digress. Anyway, I recently railed against Michigan Republicans for wasting their time and mine by introducing a constitutional carry bill. And it is a complete waste of time, because Democrats control the House, Senate, and the governor's mansion. You may have heard. This is an utterly futile effort, and it will go nowhere. It's virtue signaling to the Second Amendment crowd, and it's pointless. We know that Republicans support the Second Amendment. We've got that. We don't need to waste our time on this. Now, I also said I'm not a fan of constitutional carry. I think it's fine for people to get trained to use guns properly. I was, and I believe having a gun is an incredible responsibility. An incredible responsibility. And extra training can never hurt. I don't openly oppose constitutional carry. 25 states have it. Okay. I'm just not a big fan, that's all. And for that, I got called an anti-gun guy. Really? Me, an anti-gun guy, which, of course, is completely absurd. You would know that if you bothered to find out anything about me. My next crime? Well, I suggested that Peter Meijer, a former one-term congressman who voted to impeach Donald Trump and got primaried out and lost last time around, he might be about the only choice Republicans have to win the Senate seat being vacated by Debbie Stabenow. Why? Well, other than the completely foolish vote to impeach Donald Trump, which I said at the time that it was, and it didn't get any better with time, it was a foolish thing to do. It was wrong. Besides that, Meijer has some things to offer. First of all, his name. Meijer supermarkets were started in Michigan. They're now in something like 20 states, hundreds of stores. So here, Peter Meijer is a name that everybody knows to start with. Name recognition is important. The Meijer name also comes with a pile of cash. And let's be honest, being able to self-fund is a very important piece of the puzzle when you understand how much money these seats take. This could easily be a $10 million Senate race. Easily, maybe much more. Meijer is also more centric, or if you wish, he might be borderline rhino, which, like it or not, gives him a better chance in a purple state like Michigan to actually win a statewide race. And that's better than the alternative of giving the Democrats yet another seat that's hardcore left. But the hardcore conservative candidates in Michigan, they got clobbered in 2022. So if you want to put the far-left Democrat Alyssa Slotkin out to pasture, you'd better find someone who can attract votes from the middle. That's what I explained. Oh, by the way, Meijer is also a veteran, and that's also a positive from where I stand. I was also accused of not supporting the new Republican chair in Michigan, Christina Caramo. That's simply not the case either. But when you're dealing with cancel culture on the left or right, facts simply do not matter, you see. I've said many times that Michigan and its GOP is in tatters. Why? Because it is. And I've also made clear that is not the new chair's fault. It's something she inherited, but I'm not sure she can fix the problem. Why? Party chairs have one job, raising money. That's going to be a daunting task. It's not something she's experienced with. So there's the list of my thought crimes. And for that, I've been called a rhino, a liberal, a Democrat, someone who is bought and paid for, someone who's being bullied by Democrats and cave in on these issues, none of which is true. How angry were the thought police? Well, like I said, for supporting training and a background check before getting a concealed handgun and pointing to someone who might actually be able to win a U.S. Senate seat for the Republicans and pointing out how damaged the GOP is in my state, I was banished from a small talk station in northern Michigan. It's rather meaningless, but it highlights the problem. And here is the problem with rhinos, by the way. You can't win with them because they're going to do some really dumb things like they did yesterday when 20 Republicans voted with the Democrats to let Adam Schiff off the hook, right? But you can't win without them again because, like it or not, you need those votes. Democrats have always been the party of lockstep, and they do not get out of line. Republicans have always been a party that has discussions, a party that has different ideas, and rarely a consensus. Republicans have robust ideas. Republicans understand to put everything out there, a big tent party. So whether you like it or not, I'm going to say things you don't agree with sometimes, and that's okay. You're entitled to be wrong from time to time. But we cannot lower ourselves to acting like run-of-the-mill Democrats and the cancel culture warriors who despise free speech and open dialogue. That's not who we are, even the rhinos. As I keep telling you, we need more free speech, more ideas, more conversations, not less. If you think calling your fellow voters names and trying to silence them, if you think that's a good thing, you're part of the problem. And me personally, I'm working to win elections and be part of the solution that saves this great country with conservative ideas and principles. And if you don't like the way I approach that, well, I don't care. Now, let's talk about some other items that are dividing us. We'll do that after the break. But I want you to let that sink in. I was canceled because I'm too liberal, for pointing out the obvious, or for having an opinion that's just a little bit out of step with the ideology, with the ideologues. I'm not anti-Second Amendment, not at all. You should see my basement. I just believe that constitutional carry is not my favorite thing. I believe that having a handgun is an immense, incredible responsibility. Any gun, for that matter. I'm okay with background checks, like most people, most Second Amendment people. If you want constitutional carry, that's great. Debate it at a time you can actually win, not at a time that it's a complete waste of time, which is now. It's complete futility. Now, do you think Governor Gretchen Whitmer is going to sign a constitutional carry bill now or ever? Stop wasting our time, please. I'll take a break. We got a lot to talk about. Let that sink in. I'll be back.